Good evening, I'm Jason Vio. This is CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for watching. Here's what's making news tonight. Another day of extreme smoke blanketing our region. Officials again calling it unhealthy and a high risk. A rally for Windsor salt workers who have been on strike since February. Union members and other retirees from other mines in Ontario and Nova Scotia are here to support. And a scary situation for one Ontario mom just diagnosed with cancer. Now she's left wondering who may take care of her daughter. The smoky conditions continue today. At some points this afternoon, Windsor had the worst air quality in Ontario, and Detroit at one point had the worst air quality in the entire world, according to IQ Air. Here's what it looked like in Windsor today. Now, all of the smoke is, of course, coming from wildfires up north in Quebec and northeastern Ontario, blanketing our region. This is a look toward downtown Windsor on University Avenue West. And then when you look at the Ambassador Bridge, almost completely obscured by the smoke. And then when you take a look at some of the traffic going down Huron Church Road, some of the vehicles kind of disappear there in the distance as we look again down Huron Church Road. And then we head atop the massive hill at Malden Park. Many parts of Windsor gone behind that smoke. And all of the smoke means extremely poor air quality. Ontario uses a ranking system out of 10, and Windsor today peaked at 13. Officials are recommending children and the elderly avoid being outside if at all possible. And the general population is warned to avoid strenuous activities outdoors. All of this smoke is also affecting greenhouse operations in Essex County.
You got to remember that we're managing a perishable good here, but at no time will any of our farms jeopardize the safety of the workers. I have had some conversation with different farm owners that have indicated that they've chose to delay their harvesting or crop work due to the air quality situation.
Now, we told you about the air quality. Here's a look at a map that shows air quality monitors all over the world, and we have it focused on the Midwest. Green is good, purple is very unhealthy, and most of what we're seeing right now is red. Let's get a little closer. This is Windsor and Detroit. Now you can see what we're dealing with. Red is unhealthy. We took to the smoky streets today to see how people are coping.
I've been staying inside a little bit more, especially on days where it's really heavy, but you know, I still need to get out and get a walk and just get some fresh air. So do what you need to do and then just head back home.
I think we got this, we handle it. It tastes like campfire, but you know, we're Canadians, we're resilient, we survived the harshest winters, we got this.
Toronto is like 219 and the Detroit is like hell as well. I mean, this time, last year, was very beautiful. Right now it is toxic. I don't know what is happening to the world right now. I am worried and I am an environmental engineer, so I am accountable to change this. So I am planning to do something about it for sure.
It's almost like everybody's just like, yeah, whatever. You know, there's kind of a laissez-faire attitude, but it's real. And hopefully it doesn't last too much longer, but who knows? It's just the beginning of the summer.
You think we'll see more of this summer?
I think so, yes, because it's not even July. You know, and I know that in Alberta, I lived in Alberta for 13 years, and those fires burned for many months. So I think this is just the beginning.
A rally to support Windsor salt workers today who have been on strike since February. People came from across Ontario and other parts of this country. It comes on the heels of the company releasing a statement accusing Unifor of collapsing negotiations. Del Molnar brings us the story.
Union strong and union proud. Everybody say it loud.
Members from ONA, CUPE, OECTA, OPSU, and OSSTF joined the Unifor members in the rally. The strike has been going on for more than 4 months. The union says the company wants to outsource workers. But in a news release sent Tuesday from Stone Canyon Industries, which owns Windsor Salt, the company says in part, under no circumstances has Windsor Salt proposed to utilize contractors to eliminate union jobs. The company has repeatedly given the union written assurances of that fact. The company also released wage increase numbers for certain workers that would see some making $51.84 and others earning $49.84 by the end of the contract. The union says the company is just trying to undermine union solidarity.
There is some truth to it, but there's a lot missing.
What's missing?
I'm not going to negotiate in the media, but we are still have discussions with the company about reaching a fair, equitable collective agreement.
Leave your goddamn union busting tactics south of the border. because we don't welcome them here.
Anything the company says is a lie. I don't put any validity in anything they say.
Former Unifor president Ken Lowenza called on the people at the rally to send emails and other messages to push for a resolution to the strike.
Send messages. Send messages to Ford and others. Send message to this equity group that we will not let you starve union members out. We will not let you attack collective bargaining.
Area politicians, including Windsor-Tecumseh MPP Andrew Dowie, came out to support the rally, but Windsor West MPP Lisa Gretzky challenged Dowie to push the Ford government to pass anti-replacement worker legislation.
Recall us. The legislature's recessed. Call us back. I'll gladly go back tomorrow.
The legislation that MPP Gretzky referred to will not resolve this strike. This is a strike that does not involve replacement workers. I'm happy to sit down to discuss any piece of legislation, but no one has done so far. I've not been consulted.
While the strike is impacting workers here, it's also being felt in other parts of Canada. The president of the union local representing Windsor salt workers in Nova Scotia was also at the rally. They're not on strike, but they don't produce the fine salt that is produced here. Many Nova Scotians need that salt to soften their well water, and the strike has impacted their ability to get it. Stores have had to resort to finding other suppliers.
Someone that is on a well and needs water softener salt, then it's affecting their ability to be comfortable in their home.
While formal negotiations aren't going ahead at a bargaining table, the union says it continues to communicate with the company. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
A Sarnia mom is frustrated after waiting months to get her daughter, who has complex medical needs, into a group home. But as Jennifer LaGrassa reports, the family's situation is now all the more dire.
I'm scared for her. For the past week, fear has threatened to overwhelm Anne-Marie McCall. The 50-year-old found out she has breast cancer and will need surgery and radiation. But as a single mom, she's most worried about her daughter. The 20-year-old has a range of mental health issues and developmental disabilities, and McCall is her only caregiver. Her daughter's face is blurred to protect her identity.
Now more than ever, I need to know that she's going to be okay, because if mine is spread, then where's my daughter going to go?
McCall says she can't begin to look after herself until she knows her daughter is cared for. But this all hinges on government funding for housing and for care. Despite filing multiple applications, the most recent in March, the family is still in limbo.
You could be waiting literally decades.
McCall has used care services through Community Living Sarnia for the last decade. The organization is now helping her secure funding. But they say that because of limited resources and the prioritizing of people most at risk, people often feel stuck.
Some parents say to me, my hope is that my kid dies before me, so at least I'll know what happens to them.
All these steps really take time, in which devalue the importance of people with disabilities, because our quality of life is at a standstill because we're not being treated with respect.
The Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services told CBC News in an email that it looks at each situation on an individual basis. And it didn't say what the delay was for the funding or how many people are waiting for it. In 2021, the government launched a long-term reform of its developmental services called the Journey to Belonging. It said it hopes this can help improve service delivery.
I'm still worried about her compared to myself, and I always will. That's just what parents do.
On Thursday, after CBC News published this story, McCall said a spokesperson with the ministry had been in contact with her. She said they haven't yet approved the funding, but they are looking into available supports. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
While questions still swirl around the future of the Stellantis LG battery plant here in Windsor, Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced a different electric vehicle operation in Brantford today. An electric vehicle parts plant is making a $100 million investment to expand.
This expansion, the company's third major expansion, will increase production of motor cores, strengthening Ontario's electric vehicle supply chain and adding over 100 new, good-paying jobs right here in Brantford.
Mitsu High-Tech manufactures motor cores, a piece used to make the motor that powers electric and hybrid vehicles. Ford says the investment will go toward opening a new facility and creating over 100 jobs. He says the province is contributing an additional $3.1 million for the expansion. This is part of the province's push to become world leaders in electric vehicle manufacturing. There's new information about the knife attack at the University of Waterloo just yesterday. 3 people were wounded. Police believe the stabbings were hate-motivated and targeted a gender studies class. The CBC's Ethel Musa has the latest from Waterloo.
Police are calling the triple stabbing that took place inside a University of Waterloo classroom a senseless act of hate. Authorities say that approximately 40 students were present when the suspect walked into the classroom and asked the professor, "What class is this?" The class was a second-year philosophy course on gender issues, a fact that police say they believe played a role in the attack that soon followed.
Investigators have reason to believe that this was a planned and targeted attack motivated by hate related to gender expression and gender identity.
Police say the suspect carried 2 knives into the classroom and he attacked the professor. Some students tried to intervene while others tried to flee. 2 students were also stabbed, and police say the suspect attempted to stab a 3rd student. All 3 victims sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the suspect is a 24-year-old international student who had been studying at the university. Here's how one student who witnessed the arrest describes it.
So when we got the initial message, we barricaded ourselves in the doors. We didn't really see too much. We didn't see any of the incident happen or the whole ruckus. All I really did see for sure was the guy getting arrested. So we were on the 3rd floor. The person was walking out of the building, and he was walking out in handcuffs with a police officer. So that's much of the incidents that we did see. And once we saw that the building was clear, that was kind of my cue to run out and join the rest of the students. Giovanni Villalba Alman has been arrested and is facing numerous charges, including aggravated assault, assault with a weapon, and possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. Students and university officials gathered on campus this afternoon to take a stand against hate and bigotry. University officials also say that mental health support will be available to any students affected by the violent incident. Ethel Musa, CBC News, Waterloo, Ontario.
The 50-kilometer-long trail along an old rail line in Essex County will be getting a facelift, but that means those who use it may soon be rerouted due to construction. Tyler Clapp has more on the Chrysler Canada Greenway.
This trail was originally designed as a railway for freight trains, and these bridges have held up over the years. According to Tim Burney of the Essex Region Conservation Authority, or ERCA, they've never seen any failures. The aim of the upcoming work is to keep them that way.
We have to complete these inspections and complete these repairs ahead of anybody, falling prey to a trip hazard or, in the worst case, a collapse. But we are nowhere near any of that with any of these systems.
The Chrysler Canada Greenway Trail stretches across 50 kilometers of Essex County, and ERCA is investing $3 million over 10 years to this infrastructure. $230,000 has been set aside this year to fix these bridges. This follows assessments that found them to be outdated.
These bridges, in some cases, are more than a century old. They're heavy-duty bridges. They are very, in most cases, rudimentarily constructed with large wood timbers.
Each closure could last anywhere from a day to a week. During this time, users could face closures or detours. Burney also says he'll do his best to avoid keeping travelers off the trail for too long.
We are trying to keep the construction very simple and will attempt to minimize disturbance in time.
As for how the rest of the bridges on the trail will be fixed, there's a plan for that too. Burney says ERCA will be using an assessment to guide which bridges they'll focus on next.
The engineering assessment that we have now has, again, and it is very predictive as far as these should be done in the next 2 to 3 years. And then it has a prioritization to it with the others in a staged process.
The work is projected to begin either later this year or early 2024. Tyler Clapp, CBC News, Essex.
Still to come here on CBC Windsor News Live at 6. Some chances for rain as we approach this long weekend. Colette Kennedy has your full weather forecast coming up next. The Assembly of First Nations is in need of a new national leader. In a historic meeting, chiefs ousted Roseanne Archibald just yesterday. Even some of her original supporters voted against her. The CBC's Olivia Stefanovich reports.
Once a staunch supporter of Roseanne Archibald, Judith Sayers says she tried to stand by the first female national chief, welcoming Archibald to her territory several times, until there came a moment she couldn't any longer.
We knew things just weren't going to change with her. Her need to go to the media, her need to, be fighting in a public space.
Sayers joined more than 160 other First Nations leaders across the country who voted in favor of Archibald's removal yesterday at a special meeting held by the Assembly of First Nations.
This isn't a gender thing. This is about a leader thing. This is about, the highest office in the land for First Nations, and the person having the credibility and the high standards that we need in a leader.
The turning point for Sayers came after a workplace investigation concluded Archibald harassed and retaliated against AFN staff, the majority women, including the National Advocacy Organization's former CEO and 4 senior members of Archibald's office.
My initial reaction was one of disappointment.
Dr. Kathy Martin urged chiefs to give Archibald another chance.
What I was hoping for is that there could have been some other kind of, rather than going that process, maybe some sort of reconciliation, some remediation, some more restorative justice healing circles.
The now former national chief rejected the findings of the workplace investigation, calling it a smear campaign designed to distract from her campaign for a forensic audit.
It was a tough decision, okay? But frankly, it was the only decision we had.
This regional chief says the reputation of the most prominent First Nations organization is tarnished, and morale within the AFN at an all-time low.
The AFN will elect a new national chief in December, someone who many hope will be able to heal divisions within the fractured organization. Olivia Stepanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
Still to come, we'll bring you all of your local weather details. Colette Kennedy is standing by live right after the break. Time now for a live look at weather. Colette Kennedy joins us now as we head into or get ready to start, for many of us, our long weekend and another smoky day. I'm hoping, Colette, that there's a bit of a reprieve coming in for us.
Yeah, and what I can say is that we are going to be seeing a reprieve. It's a gradual one. And so we're still going to have some higher numbers as we head into tomorrow, but it will be dropping down as we work our way through the holiday weekend. Obviously, today, tonight, some extreme numbers. Special air quality statement is in place. And if we look at the near surface smoke, this is just a run of the last 6 hours. And you can see how it's kind of overtaken. So we're looking at a 10 plus Chatham, Kent, and back towards Windsor. And what does that mean? Well, on the air quality health index, up to 10 is high. You get into the plus, then we're talking very high in terms of poor air quality. So tonight, still some problems with this. Tomorrow will still likely be in that high range, but not at a 10 plus, not very high, coming down at least closer to moderate. And that's really what's important here. As it moves, it changes. The air quality can change kind of hour to hour. And so looking at the forecast tonight, still dealing with this swath, all right? And then we go into Friday, and then we see it pushing eastward. It's also being diffused a little bit, so have some hope as we head through and get into Canada Day that you'll be breathing a little bit easier. Now, travelers, well, cottage country off towards eastern Ontario, still dealing with some significant numbers there. And we know it may come back, but I'm just saying we're gradually going to get there and see things feeling better this weekend. The forecast, though, for tomorrow, still keeping it in that high range, but at least that's closer to moderate. It's the low end of the scale in terms of the high readings. And your UV index, even though we have some activity coming in, that's going to be very high. Current temperatures, all right, Chatham, Kent, there's an east-southeasterly breeze there, not reporting. The temperature is 24 degrees there, 27 in Windsor. But we've got to talk about the humidity. That becomes part of the story again as we move into the weekend and into next week. So it feels like 34 because of that breeze off the lake. The Humidex value is only around 28, 29 there for Chatham, Kent, even though it's not reporting. And these are the showers and embedded thunderstorms. You see all the lightning strikes crossing Michigan. In terms of some of the active weather, they're dealing with the smoke too. So this is widespread air quality statement that we're seeing there. We're going to have these rolling through later this evening into tomorrow early morning. Then we get into that sun, that UV index being very high. With that, a little volatility. So a few pop-up showers or thunderstorms possible. I'd be looking more into Saturday that we're going to have more widespread showers and thunderstorms come through, but then drying up as we get into the latter part of the day and towards those times when we're talking about the fireworks too. So things should be looking good by the time we get to Canada Day evening. And just watch out for that heat, that 30 feeling closer to 40 with that Humidex value.
It's looking pretty good. I mean, Colette, it's kind of a double whammy. I mentioned we were going camping this weekend, so we're going to worry about some smoke, maybe a chance of rain.
And that's the thing, you get those downpours, right? Then they move on, but while they're happening, just keep your eyes to the skies, everyone, this weekend. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Colette. Have a great long weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Canadian sex educator and TV host Sue Johansen has died at the age of 93.
How do you feel you would perform in bed with two females?
Well, I personally think I'm pretty good.
Johansen is best known as the trailblazing host of Sunday Night Sex Show for 4 decades. That led to the U.S. spin-off Talk Sex with Sue Johansen, airing in 23 countries until 2008. She offered straight talk and advice about sex with her signature candor and good humor. Born in Toronto, Johansen began her career as a nurse. She set up one of the city's first birth control clinics at her daughter's high school in 1970. She ran it for 2 decades. From there, she began visiting classrooms across the country to teach sex education. Johansen also received the Order of Canada in 2001 for her work as a sex educator. Well, if you can barely contain yourself from this next story and from eating ice cream any time of the day, you'll understand this hungry visitor. It was an early morning wake-up call like no other. A Whitehorse couple was shocked to find a hungry bear rambling through their kitchen. It apparently started off at the fridge, eating several containers of pistachio ice cream, and then strolled through the living room looking for other snacks, leaving quite a mess along the way. In the future, the family says they plan to lock the door and certainly hide that ice cream. Now let's take another look at our top story tonight, that smoky haze hovering over Windsor. Now these are some photos. This is what it looks like out there right now and at different parts of the day today. Thick stuff that smells like a fire. We continue to be under a special weather statement tonight. It's extended into the holiday weekend. Health experts saying people should stay indoors when things get thick. And the big advice is to reduce outdoor activity to prevent any small particles from entering your body. This smoke is coming from forest fires up north in Ontario and Quebec, and you can expect to be dealing with these conditions into Saturday. Well, that's it for us here at CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, though, for news anytime, head to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media as well. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks again for watching. Have a great night and have a great long weekend.